What's up, guys? Welcome to Osu World Cup's Most Underrated Players, where we highlight players in this year's tournament that you should look out for. Dio will talk about a player who's been overshadowed by their teammates in the past few years, but is now improved to be a juggernaut on an already strong team. This is Izzy.
Izzy is a Brazilian player and former OWC 2023 team captain who, in the larger public's eye, remains overshadowed by the legends of the past. Long gone is the era of Mistia, Nissan, and Mouse Easy. It is time to finally embrace a new era of Brazilian players with Izzy at the forefront. Izzy showed last year they were potentially the single best player on this roster, even over Korea Maluko, and I expect them to continue driving that point into everyone's memory this year. And welcome in, everyone, after a quick player intro video for one of Brazil's players this year to Brazil versus Philippines. This, the title matchup in their Group D this year. Brazil already up 2-0 after beating both Sweden and the Netherlands 5-2. The Philippines up 1-0, having beaten the Netherlands, but still with the top seed in the group, Brazil, to contend with. I'm Dio, and I'm joined by Stage for this match. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going pretty well today. Yes, this match is so exciting. Could very well be match of the weekend. Both of these teams are undefeated in Group D, looking to claim that #1 spot. And we've seen some massive, just absolutely incredible performances from Brazil over this group stage. Just absolutely monstrous scores coming out. We did see, I believe, a quad FC on DT2 last week from Brazil, so that is something to look out for. We are getting into things here with the pick or ban phase starting shortly.
Yeah, Brazil last week against Sweden, as you said, putting up a quad FC on that DT2, the #1 score of the weekend on that map as well. Limited a little bit by the accuracy, but still getting those 4 full combos is super, super impressive. They also had a lot of really, really good Hard Rock scores last week. #1 on the Hard Rock 1 from last week with 4.2 million team score. All 4 members above 1 million score on that Hard Rock 1 is a really, really tall feat. And then #2 and #4 on the Hard Rock 2, both of those scores above 3 million for Brazil versus both the Netherlands and the Philippines. So this is a team that is really, really strong on those Hard Rocks. Meanwhile, the Philippines, pretty solid on the Hiddens, had the #1 team score on Hidden 2 last week at about 2.9 million team score. Had a solid run on the Hidden 1 as well, but Brazil can contest them on that. So we'll see where they want to go. Philippines definitely looking less like a pure mechanics roster and more like a bit of a gimmicky roster with the Hidden 2, Hidden 1 performance, as well as their Nomad 4 performance, #4 overall on that map in the first week of group stage.
Absolutely. Brazil coming in at #2 overall so far in the group stage, only second to China. And China is kind of the clear #1 performer, coming in at the highest seed in group stage, ordered by average score, of course. And yeah, Philippines, we haven't seen, this is their second match, so we don't have too much to go off of besides that first match against the Netherlands, but you definitely don't want to underestimate them. And they are looking very solid in their own right, but it's going to be definitely pretty challenging considering Brazil is quite overperforming for their seed, at least slightly. Yeah, it does look like we are going to see the Philippines taking the second ban, and the Brazilians are going to take the first pick on this one.
Yeah, I like that for Brazil as well. You kind of want control of the match as first pick. They are the top seeded team in the group. I think there's some arguments that you can make for second pick having that a little bit less pressure on you to get it right the first time. But for a team with some confidence in their picks, having control over the match and being able to potentially win, with just 1 breakpoint at 5-2, I think is really, really powerful. So definitely happy for Brazil getting that first pick. And we can talk about them overperforming a little bit, but they are seed 11 in the tournament overall, which means that out of group stage, they are the 3rd highest seeded team, right? So this is a team that realistically should be topping the charts on multiple maps, and that's what they've done so far. Philippines, meanwhile, they've lost one of their best players from last year in Milkteism. I think a lot of people kind of assumed that that would be, you know, a really tough loss for them. And I think as we get farther into the tournament, when the skill cap starts mattering a little bit more, that's when that'll really start to be tested. But in these early stages, it doesn't seem like they've felt that loss all that much yet. The players on this team are all still very good. You do still have a couple of core players on this roster from last year as well, in Nathan Ram and Zone Louise, as well as a lot of other players really stepping up, especially players like Lord Gabriel, Zany, Ramu as well, Icarus. Like, a lot of these players are very much stepping up for the Philippines and making sure that that loss cannot be felt in these early stages.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see the Hidden 2 ban coming out. Makes a lot of sense considering the Philippines did get #1 on this overall. And just looking at the kind of the comparison of the performances so far between these two teams in the group stage, there's not a whole lot of overlaps in the maps that they have played, like in their separate matches. But we do see, you know, Brazil looks very favored on Hidden 1. Of course, this roster is extremely proficient at Hard Rock, which we do see the Hard Rock 1 ban coming out from the Philippines, which again makes perfect sense. And of course, the DT2 that we mentioned earlier. And looking at qualifiers, there's actually several toss-ups where the score lines were quite close between these two teams. Nomad 3, Hidden 2, DT1, and DT3 were actually quite close. Brazil on qualifiers looking very strong on Nomad 2, Nomad 4, the Hard Rocks, and Hidden 1. And Philippines is looking actually quite good on aim and just stamina as well. Nomad 1 and DT2 outperforming Brazil in qualifiers. So I'm very curious to see what these teams' strategies are going to be as we get into this.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I feel like if you are Brazil, you can be pretty confident in something like the Hard Rock 2 first pick. Kind of similar story for some of these DT maps, especially the DT mechanics maps in this pool. Brazil, though, has just been really, really good across all the DTs. Very solid free mod scores out of the free mod 1 and free mod 2, at least, as well as those really, really good Hard Rock scores, as I mentioned. I think they just have kind of the back half of this pool to work with for Brazil. Everything from Hard Rock 2 downwards all look like good picks for them. I think Philippines, you're going to see pick more into kind of the first half of this pool. Maybe Nomad 2 aside, they did not have a very good time on that versus the Netherlands last weekend. And it is just going to be a first pick DT2, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think if you are Brazil, you can basically just pick all 3 DTs and Hard Rock 2 and be completely fine in this match. So we'll see where they end up wanting to go, but I think this pick just makes a ton of sense. They were the #1 score on this map last weekend and looking to repeat here.
Absolutely. Again, Brazil with the Quad FC, we've mentioned this a couple of times, and Philippines by no means was looking bad on this either. So this is a pick. I'm surprised to see this come out as a first pick. Brazil is kind of looking to just flex this this skill set on the Philippines, which the Philippines is also very good at. So, you know, this could potentially be a mispick, but if they're feeling very consistent and confident on this, it could be a very strong first pick as well. Get that off the board.
We're going to see the speed roster come in for both of these teams here. If you do see any swaps for either of these teams, I would expect it to be Jitterish on the Philippines, the one player who really struggled to keep the combo together. Had the S rank, but at 463k, that's quite a lot of slider breaks. Does look like Jitterish is going to be staying in here. And we're going to be seeing actually perhaps join in. No. Is swapping out. Should be Icarus if they want to repeat the same roster here for Philippines as the last time that they played DT2. Brazil, meanwhile, is indeed repeating their exact same roster. Not a surprise. Again, this is the roster that 4-Way FC'd this the last time they played it. So not surprising to see them repeat the same roster here. I would be a little bit interested to see if they're going to replace Icarus with somebody else, because Icarus did have an FC for the Philippines the last time that they played this map. So no, it is just going to be Icarus joining in once again.
Everyone is in the lobby, rosters are set, the GLHFs are coming out. Will Brazil be able to repeat a Quad FC? We will see. Or will Philippines take this break point? should be getting underway here very, very shortly. And we are off to the races. Group D, Brazil versus Philippines. This is going to be such an exciting match. First pick. Here we go.
Now let's get into it. This is, I think, a really interesting match because it basically decides whether or not Brazil is first, but it doesn't necessarily decide everything about the group. We'll maybe talk a little bit more about that in between a couple of these maps. But Brazil, if they win this match, they top the group. They go 3-0. So for Brazil, this is a match that you really, really just want to win and be done with. For Philippines, it's a chance to take first place out of the group for yourself. So both teams here really gunning for this win. And early on, it's an accuracy advantage for Philippines, giving them the lead in this one, and a slider break for Korean Maluko as well to give a little bit more of that score lead, some combo lead, about 500-ish combo over to the Philippines. As we come up to the end of the first quarter of this map, just the one break so far for Korean Maluko, and the combo and accuracy lead for the Philippines now growing even further with another miss to come through for Vitaskull. About another 2 misses for Korean Maluko and Takeo, and far from repeating the 4-way FC. Brazil with 3 misses in the first half of the map. Only Kurumi W to hold on to the FC, and the 4-way still intact for the Philippines. Zone Luis, Nathan Ram, Jitterish, and Icarus all pulling up when it's needed on this first pick from Brazil.
Yeah, this map is so unrelenting as well. There are 3 evenly spaced key eyes, and we are getting into the second one now. As you mentioned, Philippines looking so comfortable with this 4-way. We are seeing a complete U-turn, 180-degree turn from last week's performance from Brazil on this. And Philippines, I knew they were feeling pretty good on this. They've been looking really good on this map so far, climbing towards 2 million team score. We do see a slider break from Zone Luis. That is far and away from what Brazil needs. Brazil basically needs a complete 4-way. Otherwise, it's going to be bad news, and we may see a potential DC from Takeo on this as well.
Yeah,
so that's to be determined.
Unfortunately, stage, I don't think it matters. Kurumi W has also missed now. They have no FCs left for Brazil. This lead is already 900k. Even if this score were a double S for Takeo, we're getting to the point where an added double S to their team score would still not do it for Brazil. And there you go. That's over a 1.2 million score lead. So DC or not just doesn't matter. Mind the canyon for the Philippines as they completely gap Brazil on this DT2 pick. 3 FCs still left. Zone Luis to find another miss will not matter whatsoever. Nathan Ram, Jitterish, Icarus, all on the full combo coming into the ending here. And this is going to be one of the biggest gaps that we see in the group stage this week. 1.8 million team score gap for the Philippines on your opponent's first pick. It'd be BM if it wasn't for the fact that Brazil picked this into the Philippines. And if it wasn't for the fact that they actually had the 4-way FC last weekend. If Brazil had matched their score from last week, they would have won here, but the Philippines just completely outdo them on the consistency.
Yeah, this is a surprising first pick, and as I mentioned at the start of this, to me, this was a total toss-up map. You know, Brazil, it's so hard to repeat a performance like that, and Philippines coming in hot with 3 full combos. I would not be first picking DT2 into the Philippines, but they are going to look to consolidate this break point. And if I'm the Philippines, you know, I'm thinking about a free mod pick potentially, or potentially no mod 3, no mod 2. Just kind of, maybe the no mod 2 is good for tapping, you know, kind of tapping is warmed up. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening with Brazil, but maybe they just weren't feeling it.
Yeah, rather unfortunate to start there for Brazil, and maybe it's a little bit of first map nerves as well, right? In terms of the accuracy, I think they look pretty comfortable overall, right? You're looking at pretty similar accuracy kind of across the board. High 97 for Korean Maluko, mid 96 for Vitaskull, 94 for Kurumi W, but then you have 95 for Nathan Ram as well, right? So there's not incredible ACK on anyone, but there's also not extremely poor ACK on anyone. And that's very similar to what they had last week as well for Brazil. You're looking at mostly 97, 96, 95 for Brazil last week. So I think it's just maybe some first map nerves, some early map jitters here, making them shake off of some notes. And it's 2 S ranks for Kriamaluko and Kurumi as well. The 1 miss for Vidarskull, so it seems to track. You just miss aim a little bit and your score gets chopped in half, basically. So unfortunately, Brazil chopped on that map. We'll see if the Philippines can convert the break point with their next pick, though.
Yeah, definitely. And the Philippines look very solid on Nomad 4 as well. We haven't seen this map be played by Brazil. The Philippines getting over 3 million team score with 2 full combos, so that's a potential pick. And Nomad 1 is actually I mean, it hasn't been played by either team, but I think it is Philippines favored if they were to go that route. Nomad 2, it's a kind of potential toss-up. There were some low team scores from the Philippines. They actually got number 26 overall, so we may not see that come out from them this early.
I think that's a pick that like makes sense after you win the DT2 by such a wide margin. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see it. But like you said, they got like 2.4 million on that versus the Netherlands. They were number 26 overall on the map last weekend. Mind you, there were about 20 matches played, so the lowest you could be is about number 40 overall on that. I'll actually just check real quick. The lowest was number 32 overall, so that's a pretty bad team score, all things considered, for the Philippines on that last week. That said, clearly they're doing a lot better on the speed today.
As it takes a bit of time to get into this next pick, we do see a warning come out. The Philippines.
We also see a test message there from Nathan Ram. I'm wondering if the Philippines might be having some internet issues as well. I know there is a typhoon going towards the Philippines right now. I know it's not supposed to be there today, right now, but typhoons are very, very large storms, so there could be some difficulties there with internet. And it looks like we maybe do have maybe some difficulties, but it is going to be the Nomad 3 pick, apparently, for the Philippines as that map gets loaded out. I'm not sure if this is... because we don't see anything in chat, I'm just going to assume that this is the correct pick, and this is being handled on Discord or similar, and we'll just roll with it for now. We have no information to the contrary, so we'll just assume this is the pick. Stage, walk us through this Nomad 3 pick, because we don't have anything from last week for either of these teams.
Yeah, Nomad 3, I mean, to me it seems favored for the Philippines considering they're more comfortable on reading based on these hidden 2 scores. Nomad 3 is your CS5 AR7 4-star OWC map. It is, it's a bit on the mechanic side, so it's not horribly uncomfortable, but it is AR7, so while it may not be pure memory, it is a reading check and a bit of a precision check with that CS5. So it doesn't surprise me to see this. I was actually expecting this from the Philippines. And Brazil, yeah, we haven't seen this score from them. So I think Brazil has also definitely been avoiding this. And I'm surprised it actually hasn't been picked into them yet all weekend.
I think one thing to note, that Brazil did get a very, very good score on Hidden 1. Obviously a different map, right? Also a very good score on Hidden 2, number 4 overall versus Sweden last weekend. But Philippines has the number 1 Hidden 2 score from last weekend. So you're expecting this team to be a lot more consistent team-wide on something like the Nomad 3. That said, when you go back to Hidden 2 in the qualifiers, which I think is the more similar map to this Nomad 3 than this week's Hidden 2 or Hidden 1, that map ended up... yes, Philippines has the best score between these two teams, but Brazil was much more consistent at that. They got about 1.5 mil both times on that map, whereas Philippines had 1.36 mil and almost 2 million on it, so a lot higher variance. We'll see which of those runs manifests here for the Philippines, or if Brazil's maybe a little bit more consistent on these lower star rating, lower approach rating picks.
Absolutely. Taken quite a while to get into this next pick, unfortunately. We have some Bancho issues, it seems. So we are just getting this sorted. But at least we can enjoy Chocolate Disco while these issues get figured out.
Sorry, would you say the title to this song was? I missed it.
Chocolate Disco.
Sorry, say that one more time. I missed it again.
Chocolate Disco.
How many times can we hear the same song title, chat? How many times can we hear the same song title?
Chocolate Disco.
Oh, Lord. Okay, it looks like we're maybe getting some issues fixed here, and hopefully we can get into it soon enough.
I feel like I'm cursed, Dio. I the last couple of matches I've casted have just there's always been some major connection issue or a DC.
They just can't handle two TCOM members in the same voice chat, man. I don't know. It just doesn't work.
Oh man.
Okay, it does. Okay, nope. Another dude comes out from Izzy. I'm not liking that message. Okay, all right. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. Please hold while we troubleshoot our technical difficulties.
Please wait on the line.
Please wait on the line. You know what? We can talk about some of the group implications of this match while we're waiting on the line for tech difficulties to resolve. Brazil's fate in this match, I think, is pretty clear cut. If they go 3-0, if they win this match, they go 3-0, they're number one in the group, right? Very, very simple for them. The Philippines, they have this match. They also have their match versus Sweden. Those are, on paper, their two hardest matchups, right? So the Philippines, if they lose this match, they can potentially also lose versus Sweden. And then from there, it's all down to Sweden, Netherlands. So they really want to get a win in this match so that they don't feel that pressure versus Sweden. That also inadvertently, there's a lot of really fun ways that this group can go. If it just goes according to the seeding, I think that's the boring but probably correct route for it to go, is Brazil 3-0, Philippines 2-1, Sweden 1-2, and Netherlands 0-3. But there's definitely a world where Brazil loses this match and then Sweden beats both the Philippines and the Netherlands, and all three of those teams go 2-1, and we have a three-way tie for first. So there's some really fun group states that can result from a couple of upsets happening in this group. So this is one to keep your eye on throughout the rest of the weekend, especially depending on the results of this match. As it seems like we are still trying to get things resolved. You know, luckily this is not a speed pick, right? If this were a Nomad 2 pick for the Philippines, they'd just be extra mad about having to wait in this lobby the entire time, hands going cold while waiting for everything to get resolved.
True. It's all about those micro optimizations. You got to stay warm in these tournament matches. Yeah, as you mentioned, this group is such a toss-up, and the scorelines do matter as well, right? Like, the Philippines does have a +4 point differential right now since they won 5-1, and Brazil has a +6 point differential. So, you know, depending on the scoreline of this match, that could definitely shape things as well, right? Like if Philippines pulls out, you know, I don't know, 5-1 or 5-2, that really does matter as well.
Definitely can end up mattering in that potential tiebreaker scenario. While we are waiting, another thing that we can kill some time with here, talk about some of the history of these teams. I think a lot of people recently have been, you know, eyes on the Philippines, right? From the top 6 finish in 2023, and then, you know, going top 12 last year, still having a pretty good time. Now this year, with even fewer of the same members from that top 6 squad, they're looking to kind of rebuild and show that they can keep up a similar level of performance even without some of those star players like Enry and Milkteism from their top 6 run. Meanwhile, for Brazil, this is a team that hasn't been top 6 since 2020. They were top 8 2018 and 2019, and then top 6 in 2020. From there, they were top 16 for 3 years in a row and top 24 last year. This is a team that really, really wants to show this year with this higher seeding that they have what it takes to get back up into where they were for a good 6-year period from 2015 to 2020, where they were only ever top 12 from 2015 to 2020 at a minimum. So this is a team really looking to prove that they are back at that level once again, with a new cabal of players, all having worked on getting to that point for themselves. So both of these teams with something to prove, I think, in this group stage as well, really lends itself to how important the seeding is out of this group stage. As we finally get into the second pick of the match, Philippines with the Nomad 3 pick, Chocolate Disco versus Brazil.
Absolutely, we're finally underway here. We do see a couple of very early misses from Kurumi, followed by Vitor Skull. So that's going to give a slight edge to the Philippines, who, again, picked this, and they're feeling very comfortable kind of on these a little bit slightly gimmicky reading picks. We will see how Brazil shapes up. And again, as you mentioned, everyone might be cold right now, having to wait so long.
Luckily, this map is literally 4 stars, so the mechanics are not too difficult on this one. But Vitor Skull may be having a little bit of an issue with it. Does find a break there in the first 200 combo. And this is a pick for the Philippines, so remember, they are favored to win on this, or at least you expect them to win on it, especially with how much more consistently they have played the Hiddens in the group stage so far, as well as having the higher skill cap on that Hidden 2 from qualifiers, which is, I think, the most similar map that we've seen to this one so far in the tournament. That said, no low AR Nomad reading at all before this map for either of these teams. And it's just Vitor Skull actually having any issues so far. 7 full combos remaining in the lobby right now as we head into this first Ki time.
Absolutely, it's going to be a bit more difficult here. We're going to see Zanny find that first combo break for the Philippines. No trades on the side of Brazil. Jitterish also following that up. That's going to give Brazil the advantage. Score lead is going to be slowly climbing down beyond 70k. If Brazil can maintain, which it looks like they are, they've gotten their composure. Vitor coming back with that strong supporting combo. And it is advantage Brazil, but we do see Kurumi drop that support again. Also followed by Izzy. That is a full combo break for Brazil, and that is going to put a hold on this lead swap, and the advantage is back towards the Philippines.
Yeah, and this is really kind of a breakdown in the middle of the map for Kurumi a little bit. Really struggling with getting back onto some of these patterns, which can definitely happen on these low AR reading picks. Vitor Skull has definitely found a good recovery, but is being pretty much matched by Zany and Jitterish there. So it's pretty much an uncontested full combo. Make that 2 now as Korea Maluko finds the drop for Icarus and Nathan Ram. And this score lead for the Philippines only going up right now for their side. Looking like a 2-0 start to the match. 300k up and only a quarter of the map left. And, not too much combo on the side of Brazil. You have about 1k combo on Vitor Skull and Izzy right now, but that's just matching one of those 2 FCs, and the entire rest of the lobby is tripling that cumulative combo for the side of the Philippines. So we needed a 4-way break a while ago for Brazil to potentially take this as a break point. Just not going to happen here. The Philippines very comfortably ahead on both of the first 2 picks in this match.
Absolutely, Nathan Ram being so confident on this, kind of that star reading player for the Philippines. And Brazil, they definitely had a shot. They had strong supports for a while, but they just found consistent misses, unfortunately. And yeah, definitely not enough. Philippines going to take this one towards 2.7 million and counting team score, which is that is far above average for this pick. The average individual player score is just under 600k, and we see all but one player go far and above that on the side of Philippines.
Yeah, the only other team that has gotten better than that is the Philippines themselves and Indonesia. And that's it. So just based off of the scores from last week, this would be number 3 on that leaderboard for the Philippines. It's a very, very good score for them. Sorry, I'm looking at the Hidden 2 from last week. But this is still a very, very good score. Philippines with beating out all but 4 teams, 2 Chile runs, a Turkey run, and a Taiwan run on this map. The only ones that are better on Chocolate Disco from last week. So very, very solid overall play from them.
Absolutely. Philippines looking so strong, 2-0 against the favorite of this group. Brazil now has the chance to get some momentum and get a point on the board. I'm probably looking at that Hard Rock 2, just kind of get a comfort pick in there. We are going to go for Free Mod 2, though. It's a very interesting pick. This is more of a kind of a bursty, overlapping flow aim map. It is an OS original as well. So yeah, looking to get back into some mechanics picks after that reading map.
And I do like this for Brazil. I think you don't really want to let yourself be phased by that early break. You could change directions entirely, but this is the map where you had the number 3 score last week, where the Philippines, their best run was about 3.1 million. Your worst run was 2.9 million, and your best was almost 3.8. I mean, this is a map where, and I will say, by the way, the run where Brazil had 2.9 million was one where they overmodded with a second hard rock on this map. I don't know why they took a second hard rock on this, but they certainly did a lot better when they had one hard rock instead of 2. As Nyash on the hard rock, looking very, very consistent, found an FC when they overmodded with hard rock, and 950k A rank when they didn't have the overmod. I think swapping the hidden to Izzy worked very, very well for them on this map. So I would really expect it to be Izzy on the hidden, Nyash on the hard rock, and then probably Vitorskull and Kurumi on the no mod as well. So just waiting on Izzy to take that hidden for them, as the Philippines load in with a pretty similar roster, in fact the exact same roster as they have had previously on this map. Zone Louise, Lord Gabriel, Nathan Ram, and Ramu. Likely to be hidden on Ramu, hard rock on Lord Gabriel. That's what they've had in the past. We'll see if they swap those mods around a little bit to try and get a better team score this time around, as we load in to map number 3 stage. No cursing it, but surely we load in without any problems this time, right? Good backup funds are out, and we're into the 3rd map, which I think is going quite well for us today.
Hopefully we are saved from the technical issues. Yeah, as you mentioned, that overmod on hard rock did not turn out very well for Brazil. So let's see what we're working with. We do have one hidden and one hard rock, it looks like, from Izzy and Nash respectively. As we kind of reset the client here. Yep, that hidden and hard rock is the same for the side of Brazil, not going for the overmod. And we do see hard rock on Lord Gabriel and hidden from Ramu. On the side of the Philippines, Nathan Ram, that's really just solid consistency player as well. Taking the no mod for the Philippines. Very, very early miss from Ramu as we get into things here. But that's not going to matter too much. And Zone Luis actually does find the second kind of more important early miss. So advantage Brazil as we get into things here.
Yeah, this is a map where usually I think you would look at a player like Zone Luis and say, yeah, this is a carry player for the Philippines, somebody who really loves these types of flow aim stream, almost stream farm map. This is not really a farm map. There's a lot more going on here. But definitely a player who is very, very strong on flow aim streams in particular. Get into some of these more finger control intensive sections in this map, and nobody finding any breaks, though. It's just those early misses for those 2 Filipino players, excuse me. Everybody else on the FC, 6 full combos in the lobby, and do not mention the bottom left corner right now. It's going well over there for Brazil, but there goes Kurumi W, actually finds the miss right after we come out of that break, and now the combo advantage back over to the Philippines here, down to 40k in the favor of Brazil, and they need to lock in. They need a miss from the Philippines, and they all need to hold on here because the Philippines' recovery is immaculate on this map coming into the last quarter or so now. And the most difficult part of this Free Mod 2 stage, they may just be able to pull off the heist if they can hold on to these combos a little bit longer than the high combos on the side of Brazil. Just a minimal score lead right now, 35k, now 50k, going into the most difficult part of this Free Mod 2 pick. And Lord Gabriel finds the slider break on the hard rock right before going in. Brazil still holding on to these combos, and the recovery from Kurumi W is still there. The score swaps back over to Brazil's side, and they just now take it back, but there goes Kurumi W. There goes Vitorskull on the Nomad as well. Both the Nomad gone for Brazil, and Philippines still holding on to their other 3 combos. Izzy and Nyash on the mods for Brazil, trying their best to keep it on their side, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. And these 3 combos for the Philippines Philippines take another breakpoint. 3-0 for the Philippines to start this match off. In Brazil last week, I mean, they looked immaculate, but the Philippines are putting on a clinic.
Yeah, you've got to be kidding me. That lead flipped, I think, 5 or more times. That was insane. Okay, so that was basically tied coming out of the second half, and we see the Hard Rock FC from Nyash, and actually we see both modded players full comboing on the side of Brazil, which is what you needed. And this is the exact same roster when from the play where they earned number 3 overall on this pick. And that is just so unfortunate on the side of Brazil. We do see 2 misses coming out from Vitor and Kudami, or 2 A ranks, I should say. And that is going to do it. The Philippines, again, I was not expecting this outcome so early, up 3-0 with a pick against this just absolute Goliath Brazilian team.
Yeah, I think a shout out has to go to that Philippines roster, because they improved their score from a little bit less than 3.1 mil to a little bit over 3.6 mil. The only teams besting them from last week are New Zealand, who had a Nomad double S from Kyujin and 2 modded FCs, China, who had a hidden double S from David and another modded FC plus a Nomad FC, Brazil's run from last week, and then Thailand, who also had 2 FCs and a Hard Rock 900K on chess. So the only teams beating that score from the Philippines are teams that are truly exceptional on that map. And Brazil, to their credit, you know, if this Philippines score was number 5, Brazil is number 6. They are actually better than any of the other scores other than the ones that I've just mentioned. But it's just not enough on the day. They don't get the 3.8 mil when they need it. They get 3.5 instead, and they lose with 3.5 million team score, which is real tragic. You average basically 900K and you lose. But that's the nature of group stage. That's the nature of these early rounds. And now we go into the Nomad 4 pick for the Philippines, a pick that they did very well on last week.
Yeah, this is our kind of slider tech pick with a bit of slider aim. There are a lot of overlaps on this map as well, so watch out for some note lock on this as well. Got to be precise with this aim control. And yeah, I mean, not surprised to see this pick at all. They look very comfortable, and as you mentioned at the start of this match, they're kind of leaning towards this first half of the pool. As we get into the late stage of the match, they're going to guarantee themselves a tiebreaker if they can pull this one off. Brazil, with no momentum, us losing 2 breakpoints, it's just not a good spot to be in.
You basically need this breakpoint for Brazil, because if you don't, you're staring down the barrel 4-0. Match point, you need a reverse sweep in order to win the match. They're not impossible, but they are incredibly rare for a reason. So I think if you are Brazil, you really want to lock in on this Nomad 4. We don't have any information, of course, on the Nomad 4 for Brazil from last week, but we do know that the Philippines were one of the best team scorers on it, top 5 last weekend. And we do know that on Nomad 4 in the qualifiers, and this is maybe a little shocking, it's actually Brazil who was much better than the Philippines on Nomad 4 in qualifiers. Philippines had about 1.9 million team score twice. Brazil, 2.3 mil and 2.8 mil in the qualifiers on that Nomad 4 tech pick. So if you go off the data we do have on tech maps in OWC so far, you actually favor Brazil a little bit, but I mean, the momentum of this match is something that is real. It's an intangible factor, but it is still real. Philippines with this momentum, plus the fact that they've already played this map, they've got some in-lobby practice, I think are looking to be the favorites, despite on paper you maybe favor Brazil a little bit based on the qualifiers on a map like this. It seems like Philippines are just playing more consistent today. They're just showing up better when it matters in what should be the highest stakes match of the group.
Yep, absolutely. And performance on the day of the match is so important as we get into things underway here. Really want to watch out for this aim control on these sliders. There are slider ticks in most of these, so it's very, very easy to find easy slider breaks. We are not seeing any slip-ups yet. Both teams are locked in. Brazil knows what is on the line here. The Philippines riding this match momentum. Also also looking so comfortable on this, holding over about 97% average accuracy. We do see some accuracy trouble from Kageura, and we did actually see an early miss from them as well. That is going to push things over towards the side of Philippines. And Izzy also finds a miss. So this is actually looking pretty disastrous for Brazil already as we get into the third here, first third.
Yeah, it's just Corey Maluco and Kurumi now holding the FCs for this Brazilian roster. But 4 FCs on the side of the Philippines. They are looking very, very solid right now. And everyone's going to see the scores at this break. Stage, this is a long enough break that if you're playing in the match, you basically can't ignore the scoreboards at the side of your screen. You go right into a slow section and then into more and more difficult parts here into the second half. Already up 200k, and the Philippines know all they have to do is not choke. And Brazil, they needed every little bit, and that's not what they're going to get. Kurumi Maluco and Izzy both finding the breaks there for Brazil. Kageura and Kurumi to hold, but it's just nowhere near enough. The 4-way FC still going strong for the Philippines, nearly 3/4 of the way into this Nomad 4 pick. And I mean, what do you do? There's just basically nothing you can do as Brazil in this situation. You just have to sit back and watch in awe as your opponents trounce you on this Nomad 4. There goes Icarus, but the damage is already done. It's a 600,000 score lead with less than 1/4 of the map remaining. You're done. There is no comeback from this position. So the Philippines 4-0 after this Nomad 4, regardless of those misses.
Brazil really needed Philippines to miss on this kind of really difficult Ki that comes after that slow section about 2/3 of the way through this one. They held strong all the way through. We do see some misses from Perhap and Icarus in the late stage of this pick, but Zanny and Nathan Ram coming in with the full combo. One full combo from the side of Brazil. Kurumi matching this, but it's just not quite enough, and Brazil is staring down that 4-0 barrel. They're gonna go finally for this Comfort Hard Rock 2 pick. I would have honestly liked to see this a little bit earlier so they could get some momentum and get at least 1 point on the board, you would hope. But I just know that these players from the Philippines are just ecstatic right now, and I don't think anyone really could have predicted this so far, Dio.
I mean, I thought this would be a close match because I think both the Philippines and Brazil are very, very good teams. There's definitely been a lot of people underestimating the Philippines because of players like Milktism not being here this year. But to see them up 4-0 versus Brazil is not something I expected. Not because the Philippines is a bad team, but because Brazil, again, is already up 2-0 in the group, right? This is a team that so far has given up, I think, 3 points in total. 4 points in total, right? 5-2 versus both Sweden and the Netherlands. So it's not like this is a bad team, right? They are just losing points by a tough margin. Again, you go back to that free mod too. Brazil got 3.5 million team score. That's one of the best scores on the map. It's just that Philippines was ever so slightly better and a little bit more consistent at the bottom end, really, and ended up getting 3.6 million to beat them. But a couple of these other picks have just been absolutely massive team score leads. We saw 1.8 million on that DT2. We saw 1 million on the Nomad 3. We saw another 660k on that Nomad 4. I mean, the Philippines have just been popping off, in Brazil, they were the second highest average score team last week. They're just not having the same kind of runs today that they were having last week. And so you end up with a scoreline like this, 4-0, in a match that I think most people were expecting to be very close between these two teams. Into the Hard Rock 2, which I think is the single best pick in the pool left for Brazil. In qualifiers, they were better on both Hard Rocks on both runs than the Philippines. Brazil's worst run was better than Philippines' best on both Hard Rocks. Excuse me. And you go to Hard Rock 1 and 2 from group stage in week 1. Again, they were number 1 on Hard Rock 1 last week. They were number 2 and 4 on Hard Rock 2 last week. So this Brazil roster is extremely good on Hard Rock. They minimum 3-milled this map last week. Let's see if they can repeat that kind of performance. And more importantly, whether repeating that kind of performance is enough to beat this Philippines team who is on a hot streak this match.
Absolutely. We do see Schwick coming in from the side of Brazil on this kind of 1/4 alt with some 1/8 bursts in here. You want to watch out for these really tricky kind of technical sections. Izzy does find that first early miss as we get into the first quarter here. You know, this kind of trippy section comes in very, very shortly. And I think if Brazil wants to really maintain chances here, they're going to need to see at least one player from the side of the Philippines break on it. And we do see Nathan Ram finding that first miss from the side of Philippines that is going to give Brazil just a little bit of life to hold into this match. Izzy really needs to lock in, does find another miss. And again, in group stage, it's so important to have strong supports from your third and fourth players. Zone Luis, though, breaking the full combo as we get into the first half. We do see a 3-way full combo to 2 from Brazil. And again, they need this comfort pick so badly.
Let's hope the comfort is enough to carry them into the ending here stage, because it's still only 3 FCs to 2. This is by no means a guaranteed point for Brazil. They still have to earn this win coming into the second half of the map. So plenty of patterns to miss on for either of these teams. And it's actually Lord Gabriel to find the next miss. And now the score lead is going to start to go very quickly over to the side of Brazil. 2 extra full combos, plus the support from Izzy matching Nathan Ram there in the bottom right corner just about. And so this score lead now is going to start to take off in favor of Brazil as we come into the last quarter of the map, the hardest part as well. And nobody else missing so far. Everybody's still hitting all of these patterns. There goes Schwick finally finding a miss for either of these teams. Lord Gabriel to trade just probably won't matter as we come in to the end. Nyash and Kareem Maluko still holding on to the double FC for Brazil, and they will indeed once again 3-0 this map on the Hard Rock 2. Another fantastic score for this Brazilian team on this Hard Rock 2, and that is a really good team score on this map. 3.46 million, I believe, is actually
the number
just
one.
Better than any other team from last week. I do think China earlier today got a better score than this, or maybe got just under Argentina's. I'm not sure. We don't have, all of the scores on the stats sheet yet, but compared to anything anyone did last week, this is the best score on the map.
Yep, absolutely. Brazil breathing a sigh of relief as they get their first point on the board. So it is now 1-4, but Philippines does have this pick. And we are kind of in a situation where the Philippines has really, gotten a couple of their comfort picks out of the way, as well as some break points. So we are in dire straits from the perspective of Brazil. What do you think they're going to pick here, Dio?
I mean, if I'm the Philippines, I'm just looking at the 2 gimmick maps that I've picked so far, and I'm looking at that hidden one, and I'm licking my lips. I mean, it just looks so good for this roster. They've had some very solid plays on hidden in this tournament already. Yes, Brazil had a very good score on that map versus the Netherlands, but I mean, Brazil has not really liked those too much. The only other thing really that kind of lends itself to, I think, a solid pick from the Philippines, just based on the information that we have so far, is maybe you go into one of the other free mods. I don't think you want to pick DT, because even though Brazil has had some consistency issues, this actually, speaking of consistency issues, if the other team is feeling inconsistent, Nomad 1 is a great pick. I think this is a really good read from the Philippines.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I kind of predicted at the start of this match, I think the Philippines is kind of favored on this. It is this, of course, very aim-heavy pick, and it's honestly been banned out from most matches this weekend. And it's a bit of an RNG pick, of course, but if you're feeling more comfortable on aim, that's what you want. And we are seeing a bit of consistency issues, as you're mentioning, from the side of Brazil. So that's all you really need. You only need 1 or 2 weaknesses from your opponent to take this one.
Let's see how both teams stack up on the pretty much pure aim consistency. Nothing else that's going on in this map. I know this says 132 BPM. It's mapped in triplicate, so it plays like it's 198 BPM is what it'll actually play like. Which puts it at a very comfortable near 200 BPM aim consistency for this map. There's really no bursts in this at all. There's a couple of triples here and there, I think, but other than that, it's just the aim consistency. So this is going to be a very good test of a little bit of nerve control, honestly, for both of these teams, right? This is only 6.67 stars, and it's an aim map. In solo, in single player, any player on either of these teams could FC this map. No problem. It's not that hard. It's only 6.7 stars. The trouble is when you add, okay, you only have one try to do it. Okay, you're in a multiplayer lobby, which is a little bit of a nerve test in and of itself. Okay, you are in a tournament match in the OS World Cup. Okay, you're also down match point versus another team, or up match point looking to close out against the top seed of your group, right? This is always way more difficult because of those external factors rather than just the map. So it's not just a test of consistency, it's also a test of nerve control, being able to keep your pen steady when everything else is working against that. A couple of early misses here from Kageura, Izzy, and Perhap. 3 players total, 2 for Brazil, 1 for the Philippines. As we come into Nomad 1, Forza.
Absolutely, we do see a couple of early misses come out from both teams. It is a slight advantage towards the Philippines, holding that 3 full combos, but it is very, very early here. Anything can happen, of course. This kind of consistency aim, you don't want to find too many random misses if you're on the side of Brazil. You really got to lock in for the full remainder of the match, frankly, as you are in a position to lose this one. But as we get into the first kind of hard section, this hard aim, we do find Icarus missing from the Philippines, giving a bit of an advantage towards Brazil as that lead ever so slightly comes climbing down towards basically 0, and it does flip as we get into the next third here.
There's still just so much map left, though. You have, a little bit of a combo lead here for Brazil. It's just giving a little bit of a score lead because of that. But very, very similar overall team states. 2 full combos to 2 matching support for, let's call it Izzy and Perhap. Kageura slightly out-comboing Icarus right now, and so you get that score lead into the next KI time. There goes Lord Gabriel. The next miss to come through for either team is on the Philippines, and it's one of those FCs. Very, very important drop there. This KI time as well is basically halfway through the map. You find just a couple of misses in this second KI time, and your score is cut in half. You can pretty much max out at 550k, 600k, so kiss anything higher than that goodbye now for Lord Gabriel. Nobody else finding any misses so far in this second KI time as well. There goes Perhap, though, and a second miss for the Philippines gives a big combo lead over to Brazil, but there goes Kageura finding the trade with Perhap. So just the same combo lead as before. Miyosh now falls as well, and one by one they go down after this second KI time into the aim control section, but 2 full combos remain. Korea Maluko and Nathan Ram. Izzy just behind the FC on the reverse choke. Icarus a little bit behind that as well. 300 combo lead for Brazil, 300,000 score lead for Brazil, more importantly, going into this last quarter. And I think pretty much the only way they lose this is if both Korea Maluko and Izzy miss pretty much right now before the start of this last KI time. And both of them holding so far gives a little bit more weight to each and every note and each and every miss. And there goes Lord Gabriel, and there goes the Philippines, I think. Nathan Ram to fall next. The FC down from their star player. And Korea Maluko and Izzy to carry Brazil out of this Nomad 1 and into their last pick, 2-4.
Yeah, absolutely a complete meltdown from the side of Philippines besides Icarus. And Brazil, they really needed this break point. They are holding on for dear life in this match, but I think they're locked in, Dio. They are feeling comfortable. They're warm after these kind of connection issues early on and a bit of uncertainty in the match, coming in with over nearly 3.2 million team score. And on a Nomad 1 pick, it's a bit RNG. You have to be so consistent with that aim. Icarus finding just one miss with well over 99.4% accuracy, but we see everyone on the side of Brazil holding over 99.5% accuracy, which is exactly what you want to see on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is a really, really solid team score for Brazil on this map. 3.2 million is quite good on that Nomad one. So
that actually recover and potentially go all the way with the rest of this pick, bringing things back over towards the side of Brazil. But again, they are going to need the Philippines to have at least one of these full combos break, because that score lead, Dio, is still climbing. And Nathan Ram, oh, Zanny, as I say this, does find the first miss on Hidden. That is a disastrous miss from the Philippines. Brazil clinging on for dear life as that score lead drops below 70k. And Nathan Ram and Icarus are going to have to clutch up for the Philippines here.
I mean, I'm nervous. I'm nervous watching this map stage. We have a miss basically right in the middle for Zany on the Hidden, so that score is pretty well capped. It's a little bit after the middle, maybe 600, 700k with this accuracy plus the Hidden mod, but it's pretty much the worst place you could find a miss. It's combo advantage back for Brazil. It's another miss for Zany. It's the score lead back onto the side of Brazil, but Niosh immediately misses afterwards. That brings this combo lead down to a measly 200. Make that 900 again. No, Zone Luis finding the miss on the Hard Rock, and now it's Kagiura. Uncontested 900 combo for Brazil, but the 2 FCs for each team on the Nomad still going strong, and the score lead only 40k right now. There's still so much map left. We're into the last quarter, but that's still a minute or so of map remaining. So much time for these players to find misses, but it's not Brazil finding them. It's Zone Luis on the Philippines finding yet another miss on this 8 pick. It's Niosh on the Hard Rock to match. Goes to show just how difficult this Hard Rock is to be consistent on this map, but Brazil just doing better on the Hidden right now. It is the supporting combos bringing this over to the side of Brazil right now. Kagiura and Niosh just doing slightly better than Zany and Zone Luis respectively, and the Nomads on the bottom row unshakable for both teams. The 4-way FC for the Nomad players and the slight edge on the modded players brings home a 3rd point in a row for Brazil. From 0-4 to 3-4 stage, there's 1 pick left in this match, and the Philippines, you better have a solid pick prepared, because momentum has swung massively the other way now.
Yeah, absolutely. I am stunned to see 4 over 99.7% accuracy FCs on these Nomads. These are the players that you want, right? Like, you need absolute consistency on this. Whoever's taking Nomad in free mod has to be so consistent, and that is the key to victory. But we do see, again, as I was talking about, these supporting combos, Kagiura coming in so clutch for Brazil with over 700k on that support. Early misses don't matter if you can continue to be so consistent on your recovery. It is the Philippines now deciding what map will be played to potentially lead us into tiebreaker. Brazil coming back so strong from this 4-0 deficit. It's really incredible to see.
It definitely is, but it's not done yet. They still have 2 more maps to win if they want to finish out the reverse sweep. And for the Philippines, that means 2 more opportunities to not choke the 4-0 lead. And they have one right now. They're going to go with Nomad 2. Okay. I mean, I don't know if I have much of a better pick for them. They definitely had the better DT2 roster in this match, but you know, as we discussed, when Brazil first picked that map, they first picked it for good reason. They have the ability to pop off on this, and the Philippines last weekend did not have a good play on this map, so this is anyone's map stage. I don't think this is a guaranteed pick at all. I think this is super toss-uppy. This is a very high-scoring Nomad pick as well. You go and look at all of the scores above 3 million on this Nomad. You have to go down to number 16 on this Nomad 2 before you get below 3 million. Meanwhile, number 16 on Nomad 3 on that low AR is barely above 2 million score. So this is an extremely high scoring map. This is one that teams are generally very strong on across the board. I mean, even if you go down below the 22 times that Nomad 3 was played, the Philippines are still above 2 million on it in their play last weekend. This is a map where anything goes, where you just cannot be surprised at any result. and where both teams realistically should have a 4-player roster. They should not be getting 4th playered on this. They should have 4 players that are generally pretty comfortable on the speed on this map, and where just the slimmest of margins can decide this. A single slider break could make the difference on a map like this. I am scared for both of these teams on this Nomad 2 pick.
Absolutely. I'm shaking in my boots, Dio. The average score on this pick is 731k, so it's basically FC or die, considering it's just over 2 minutes long. And again, on these speed picks, you really have to be so consistent, as you mentioned, and there is a bit of a diff spike towards the end of this map as well. And we saw kind of it didn't really matter too much in the last pick, but catastrophe on the diff spike from the modded players in that free mod pick. So we're going to see whether the Philippines can clutch up on these diff spikes and take the win here on their pick. Otherwise, we are going to tiebreaker. We see from the side of Brazil these core 4 players, Vitor, Nyash, Izzy, and Corian, who we've seen pretty much all match. And on the side of Philippines, we see Jitterish coming in with Ramu, Icarus, and Zone Luis. As we get into things here, you want to look out for high accuracy plays. You want to see low misses. Nyash finding that super early miss, not able to recover super easily, finding a lot of trouble as they drop below 96% accuracy, but they are able to quickly recover that. As we get into things here, Dio.
Yeah, Nyash looking really uncomfortable on this is not a good sign for Brazil. This Philippines roster, I think, is slightly surprising, if only because their top scorer on this map is not playing it from last weekend, but Vitor finding another miss, and now already it is 4-2 in the full combo department in favor of the Philippines. And you can't be too surprised at this map going either way, but with all of these early troubles for Brazil, it's looking very good for the Philippines. Already a third of the way into this map. This is an extremely short pick. We're only 700 combo in, and we're basically halfway into the map now stage. Another couple of streamy, bursty sections as we come up to that exact halfway point. Everybody holding onto their combos. It's just those 2 early misses for Brazil on Nyash and Vitor, giving this massive... No, Izzy also finding the drop, and that's an FC down. Only Korean Maluko remaining for Brazil, and a 340k score lead for the Philippines. 4-way FC still going strong, and this is looking like GG's. It's not over quite yet, but Brazil needs disaster to strike the Philippines in this map if they want a way back into this map and a way into the tiebreaker. And I just don't know if that's happening. We're pretty much into the last quarter of the map now. Ramu will find a miss on aim, but there's still 3 FCs going, and Korean falling means this is basically unwinnable for Brazil now. 550k score lead for the Philippines. And Brazil last week, they looked incredible on all of the DTs. They looked the best on DT2, but on both of the speed maps in this match, the Philippines not only usurping them on that double time 2, but also improving their team score on this Nomad 2 by over 1 million points to establish dominance in Group D.
We see that celebration dance from Jitterish at the very end there. Philippines feeling absolutely ecstatic, taking this win 5-3. Heartbreak, unfortunately, for the Brazilians, who are not able to pull out the reverse sweep on this Nomad 2 pick. Philippines just putting on an absolute stellar performance against the favorite in this group. What an absolute clinic. Cinema. Yeah. Honestly, cinema.
It was definitely a very good match, but one thing that's honestly a little bit unfortunate, we actually have 2 other matches prepared right now, so we're going to cut things a little bit short here with a quick congratulations to the Philippines for beating the top seed Brazil in their group, and a solid congratulations to Brazil as well. They still go 2-1 in the group. They are still favored to get out, not locked, but favored to get out of Group D. So good luck to both of these teams with their 2 wins in this group. And thank you very much to Stage for casting with me as we move into our next 2 matches. We have another match going on OS Live 2 right now. Looks like Turkey versus Uruguay over there, and Romania versus Finland